Home prices in Texas reached record-breaking levels, with homeowners seeing a huge spike in appraisals.
I opened it, I almost fell out of my chair. I saw a 52% increase from the assessed value in 21 to this year in 22.
High values could bring higher tax bills, but possible relief is on the ballot. We break down a statewide initiative needing your vote in just 2 weeks.
The larger the festival gets, the less you can fly by the seat of your pants with it.
The state's Concert Safety Task Force releases its report following the deaths at the Astroworld Festival. But do the recommendations have any teeth? We talked to an outside expert who worries it's too superficial. The congressional push to start making computer chips in America.
I think this could be the greatest legislation passed this Congress in long term.
How the plan playing out on Capitol Hill could bring a boost to high-tech work here in the Lone Star State.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Texas is home to some of the hottest real estate markets in the country, and right now, demand for homes in Texas is driving prices higher. The Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M tracks home prices around the state. Their latest report shows that the median home price reached a record-breaking $300,000, and it's growing at a rate of more than 15% annually. Big cities are seeing faster growth. It's close to 20% in Fort Worth and more than 30% in Austin. But those increases are not only affecting home buyers, homeowners across the state started receiving their property appraisals this week, and many Texans are surprised by how much their home's value grew from last year. When those values go up, higher tax bills usually follow. But an election happening soon could make a difference. Early voting starts tomorrow. Monica Madden looks at how a measure on the statewide ballot could give you a little property tax relief.
It's such a crazy market.
Like many Texas homeowners, Brent Grabelichoff saw his appraisal skyrocket a year after purchasing his Williamson County home.
I almost fell out of my chair. I saw a 52% increase from the assessed value in 21 to this year in 22.
He says his neighbors are also feeling a pinch.
Unless you're making X hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's really hard to get ahead now.
The increasing property taxes are already riling up voters.
Bring property tax relief.
On the campaign trail in Dallas Wednesday, Beto O'Rourke pitching how he would address the problem if elected governor in November.
We need fairness in appraisals, and we need fairness in what people are paying in their property taxes.
But voters have their chance to make a change sooner. 2 propositions aimed at easing the property tax burden are on the ballot on May 7.
These are 2 very good propositions that if you want tax relief.
Proposition 2 would raise the tax exemption homeowners can take on their public school taxes from $25,000 to $40,000.
And that's thousands of dollars of savings over the life of a homeowner in Texas.
It might not be a ton of savings year to year, but homeowners like Grabelichoff say they'd be happy for any relief.
Seeing higher property taxes is rough.
Monica Madden for State of Texas.
State Senator Paul Betancourt authored the legislation that put Proposition 2 on your ballot. We asked him about what he sees as reasons for the surge in property valuations and why he believes Texas homeowners could see tax relief in the fall.
Texas is still the job magnet for the country, and it's a great thing to have because we've seen it with Tesla and many other firms that move in, but they do bring people with checkbooks ready to buy a house at, quite frankly, a much lower price than they pay for in California and get a lot more square footage. So we've got that. We've got also record inflation, almost at nearly a 40-year high, and we're seeing a hot economy because we've got sales tax receipts that are 20% hotter. So you really got a triple witching hour of pushing up values on property due to the fact that you've got all these unique economic conditions. Fortunately, we passed some other legislation in 2019 that as values go up, tax rates are forced down. So that's going to happen in the fall. So really what you look at for Prop 2 is for homeowners that get that extra exemption means that not only do they see tax rates coming down, especially for school districts, but it will also mean that they have a savings that really is for the lifetime they own any home, not just the home they're in, but any future home as well. up to age 65.
You'll also be able to vote on a proposition to add property tax relief for seniors and Texans with disabilities. But the wording on the ballot for Prop 1 is confusing some voters. Let me read it to you. The constitutional amendment authorizing the legislature to provide for the reduction of the amount of a limitation on the total amount of ad valorem taxes that may be imposed for general elementary and secondary public school purposes on the residence homestead of a person who is elderly or disabled to reflect any statutory reduction from the preceding tax year in the maximum compressed rate of the maintenance and operations taxes imposed for those purposes on the homestead. Whew. That's a mouthful. So why is the language so convoluted? Well, it's tied to the process of amending the state's constitution. Wording on your ballot has to follow what's written in the part of the Constitution the amendment aims to change. We wanted more clarity, so we reached out to the president of the Texas Taxpayers and Research Association to get insight about what you need to know about Prop 1.
It is incredibly complex and difficult to understand, and you kind of have to be a school finance expert to understand what the ballot language is saying. In very simple terms, though, it is just additional property tax relief for our senior citizens. In Texas, when you turn 65, your property taxes for school purposes are basically capped at what you paid when you were 65. The legislature last session passed legislation that's forcing school tax rates down. But if your school taxes were capped, say, 10 years ago, when your value was much less, you're not getting any benefit from those rates declining because your values are far beyond where they were when the cap was set. What Proposition 1 does is it basically says whatever your capped amount, no matter when that occurred, as school tax rates come down, it will bring down your cap amount as well. And it's also important to remember the cap does not apply to city and county taxes, so they'll still be calculated as they traditionally are. But what this will do is give senior citizens and those disabled continuing property tax relief over the coming years.
Early voting starts tomorrow across Texas. This is for both the statewide constitutional amendments as well as local elections in your area. Early voting ends on Tuesday, May 3rd. Election Day is Saturday, May 7th.
These are things that we should be doing regardless of whether the government tells us to or not.
Nearly 6 months after 10 people were killed at a concert in Houston, Governor Abbott's task force releases its report. But does their list of recommendations have enough teeth to stop something like this from happening again?
Every time I go into a class like today, they are unaware of the magnitude of the tag problem, or what to look for. They're not trained for that.
Spotting paper tags, the investigation that's now being used in some law enforcement training to fight back against this $200 million nationwide black market.